So what we're gonna make is this is gonna be the first course we're serving tonight. It's heirloom tomatoes and heirloom beets salad with some crispy bread from Zingerman's, like fried croutons and extra virgin olive oil. A little bit of balsamic, some fresh basil, and some burrata. Do we have that burrata, guys?
Yes.
Which the burrata is also made at Zingerman's. So the first thing that we did is we took all these beautiful beets and slow roasted them in olive oil with some rosemary, a little bit of garlic, salt, at like 225 degrees, super slow. So they just kind of break down, they get really naturally sweet, and they just have great flavor. Take a bite of those.
Really good night.
See?
Beets are the one thing I rarely eat. So.
Why? Are you angry with them?
Well, because they don't taste like this.
But I mean, like at all of our restaurants, one of the things that we really try to focus on, and when you're cooking, like in the Midwest, some of the greatest vegetables are the ones that are grown underground, and really the underrated vegetables. I think all those grapefruit vegetables. So I mean, beets now are I think kind of a little bit trendy, but like beets and Brussels sprouts and a lot of the things that we put on our menus are, I always call them the underrated ugly vegetables, like ones that maybe you turned your nose up when you were a kid, or they're misunderstood.
Right.
They're misunderstood. So, but these have tons of flavor and they're really easy. And then tomatoes, this time of year is when they really start popping. A lot of different heirloom varieties, and I mean that's kind of the best way to do it. And that's the beautiful thing about shopping at farmers markets and things of that nature is you really get to see things in their natural, original form that haven't been kind of overly manipulated or pumped with gas and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, my grandmother used to put up parsnips and rutabaga.
Are you playing to the camera
Right
now?
I guess. PR guy, right? The PR guy, so. Yeah, so I think a lot of this stuff like skipped a generation, right?
Absolutely.
Because these were my grandparents, and this is kind of what came naturally to them. They had a root cellar and all that. And
yeah, for sure. And I mean, and these like,
how to do that.
I mean, you could see how many varieties of tomatoes there are. I think when a lot of people think of tomatoes now, they think of like big, red, and round.
Right.
But those are coming from all over the place, and typically they don't have any flavor. So it's best to kind of wait for the season and eat them when they're local. And this is, have you ever had burrata before? Burrata, this is from Zingerman's. But burrata is it's a mozzarella cheese, and it's made where they take the fresh mozzarella and they take the curds and they stretch it so it has this beautiful smooth consistency on the outside. And then the inside is the soft curds still. So it's like creamy on the outside and a little bit firm. It's like a package of cheese curds almost.
I'm a fan of Zingerman's, but
it's fantastic. So when you cut it open, cut it open, see how it has that beautiful creaminess inside? So, they mix theirs with a little, like when you get it, just taste the center. Finger is your best tool. When you get it in Italy, it's almost a little bit more chunky in the center, like and creamy curds. A lot of times when you see it made also, maybe they'll add a little bit of cream to it or a farmer's cheese to kind of smooth it out to get those two consistencies. So this is going to kind of be the base of the plate, the burrata.
I should be taking those. There's probably going to be a...
There's going to be a test later.
Yeah.
If you get all the questions right, I'll give you a brand new Honda. From Ohio, yeah. See, so now watch. So with our restaurants, really the key, and at Roast, and I think really what the Greeting of Detroit is all about is taking beautiful products, treating them very, very simply. I think the biggest mistake chefs make, or young chefs or young cooks, is they think that you have to put a million things in something to make it great, when all you really need is really great ingredients and then be smart. So, yes, I call it the KISS method. keep it simple, stupid, you know. The farmers and God did all the heavy lifting. We just need to kind of put it together. So, you know, and so I just look for things like the tomatoes, you know, we have a couple different sizes and shapes. You like tomatoes?
I love them.
Okay, good.
They're great.
You know, and you can kind of just slice them up any way you want.
But you'll all get some of this afternoon or this evening.
Yeah, this is going to be
This is our
first
salad,
course.
so-
This is going to be first course. And you can cut them up any way you want. It's some fun sometimes to get some different shapes and sizes and colors.
My grandmother used to roll those in flour with
Fry 'em.
morel mushrooms.
Yeah, yeah, fried
Yeah,
green
yeah,
tomatoes.
yeah.
So this is actually, a lot of times like a green tomato that like, my mother-in-law's from the South and she does fried green tomatoes. It's almost like an underripe super tart tomato. This is actually a green zebra. So in its full ripe condition, this is how the tomato looks. It's actually really green. And not as tart as you may think of a green tomato to be. All right. So
But it ripens and
this is in its full
It's
ripened
it's
form.
ripe.
Yep. So put some of the tomatoes in
Okay.
there. Put a couple beets.
Yield a knife.
I'm not going to let you yield a knife. I think all the digits are very, very important, and I want them to keep all intact. But we'll plate this together.
Okay.
So this is, I always tell people, the most important ingredient you have in your kitchen, more important than anything else, is salt. It is impossible to make great food without salt.
It's very grainy.
This is a sea salt. So this is a Cyprus sea salt actually. But kosher salt is great. Any sea salt is great. And you can make edible food without salt. You just can't make great food. And a lot of times worry about, oh, there's salt and it's bad for me and this and that. And if you're cooking from scratch and you're working with local products from farm to table, the chance of you putting as much sodium in something as anything that comes off a shelf is nearly impossible.
Really?
So we use raw ingredients, we season liberally with salt, and I'm proud to say that my blood pressure and cholesterol is still extremely low. And I salt with reckless abandon sometimes. But at the restaurants we probably salt a little less than I do personally because I know how much I actually love salt. And salt's not a flavor, it's a flavor enhancer. And that's why it's so important. If you don't, as soon as I put salt on the tomato, it does two things. It pulls out the natural sweetness in the tomato and removes some of its, or if it has any bitterness or tartness, it pulls that out and makes the sugar come forward. And the other thing it does is there's three ingredients that actually open up your taste buds and allow you to taste food better. Salt, acidity, and horseradish. So whenever you think of really food that you can taste and is vibrant, you need to think of those ingredients. Like, do you eat sushi?
I do quite a bit.
And what do they always put on the table with them?
Wasabi, sure.
And what else?
Ginger. Soy sauce.
Soy sauce.
I mentioned that last.
So what's
sushi chef
soy
don't
is?
like you put a lot.
I know, but the soy is salty.
Yeah.
And the wasabi is the horseradish. So it's because you're taking this piece of raw fish and it hardens up your palate, and then you could get the full effect of the fish. Or you could just sprinkle a little bit of salt on it.
My grandfather actually grew horses.
Oh, it's so good. So good. So now, basil leaves. And I just pick them right off. I don't even do anything to them. If you could, the two ways that I work with soft herbs like this is I pick them and just use them whole, or I just give them a quick tear like this. The biggest mistake
It
releases their oils and some of their flavor right in there. But a mistake a lot of times when you watch people cook on television is they'll take an herb, a soft herb like this, and it makes them feel like they're better cooks. They'll sit there and they'll chop it up and they'll chop it up. They'll just beat the crap out of it. And all that's happening at this point now is all the oils are coming out of the fresh herb, and the only thing we're really seasoning is our cutting board. And unless you have plans to eat that there's really no purpose for it. So I like to tear the soft herbs or just throw them in oil. A couple cracks of black pepper. The best extra virgin olive oil that you will buy. This is one of those ingredients that you know, there's no substitution for great olive oil, so it's not one of those ingredients I think that you should skimp and try to save money. You know, it's a highlight of the dish. So we drizzle some of that in, and then a little bit of vinegar. This is balsamic, but I love red wine vinegar with this would work great. Sherry vinegar. And when you're thinking about dressing beans or making a dressing, what you should think about is essentially it's always going to be, in my opinion, it's 2 parts fat to 1 part acid. So there's no reason to buy dressings. You go to the store, you get really good extra virgin olive oil, and then you can use any vinegar you want, citrus that you want, and you start, you put in 1 part acid, you look at it, if you have a half a cup of acid, you put in twice as much extra virgin oil, whisk it together, and you have a basic dressing. And then it has the correct amount of tart, fat, and all those things that go with it. So we just give this a toss. And again, best tools you have in the kitchen are your hands. Those stupid rubber gloves make me crazy. And then we just start, you know, we lay it down on the plate. Here, jump on it. Are your hands clean?
Yes, I
Are you sure?
I did. It was supervised.
So do you think of yourself as an artiste?
I do not. Not in the kitchen, that's for sure.
So I mean, why don't you just the nice thing about food is I just try to lay it down and make it look as simple and natural as possible. So here, go on, come on, put something on there. I want to just put some on there. I want you to feel it, feel the food. That looks fantastic. Now you can perfection. Don't be too cutesy. That's good. Keep going. You're almost there. Yeah, that's good. All right, one more. Don't spread it out too far. You're getting way out towards rim. Okay, the last one. I would suggest somewhere in this vicinity. Perfection. And then you lay a couple more of the basil leaves down. You almost want it to look like a garden, right?
Right.
Some of those crunchy breadcrumbs right across, and we just took day-old bread, busted it up, and then fried it in a little bit of extra virgin oil. But you want to have, you know, I talked about having food seasoned and acidity and stuff like that. The other really important thing with food is texture. You don't want to eat anything that's like soft on soft, or you want texture. So the tomatoes, the cheese, all those things are soft. So we want to put something on there that has a little bit of crunch. So we put the croutons on. And I always finish off my plates like this with a little drizzle of extra virgin oil. And this is a beautiful aged balsamic, so maybe a little drizzle of the aged balsamic. Some coarse cracked black pepper. And then just one more little addition of sea salt. What do you think?
Great.
Well, let's get some forks. We don't want to just sit there. We need to eat. I've been driving for 2.5 hours. I'm starving. I'll give you the big fork. All right. Take it. Get a little basil. Oh, you got to play to the camera. What's camera 1? Is that camera 1?
Yeah.
You know? Put a little bit of that cheese. But it's sweet. It has a little bit of tartness to it. It has some texture. And that's really what cooking is all about. You know, you get great ingredients. You create a little bit of texture. You create some kind of yin and yang, or sweet and salty, or sour and fatty, or acidic and fatty, and because you want food to stimulate your palate. Like, you don't want to eat something that's just like all one texture or all one flavor note, because then it's not exciting. You take the first bite, maybe it's exciting. By the sixth bite, you want to hang yourself.
I'm gonna love this tonight.
Are we good? Tonight he'll be preparing all 150 orders.